From the creators who brought you RuPaul's Drag Race and Million Dollar Listing, this is World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Hello, and welcome to the Wow Report. I'm your host, Fenton Bailey, and joining me this week, of course, the legendary James St. James, the world's first celebutant, best-selling author, mastermind behind our podcast, Night Fever.
Please go on.
Oh. And here this week we have Blake, of course, the lovely Blake, who's also standing in for Tom Campbell, who's out on a well-deserved vacation.
Woo.
Yes, he's cottaging.
He's at the
that
cottage.
word means what you think it means.
He's at the cottage. So, all right. So what we're going to do, we do a usual thing. We count down the top 10 things of the week that made us go, wow. Starting at number 10.
Number 10.
The Joy of Text. That's what I'm calling number 10, The Joy of Text, the Odyssey. Emily Wilson is the translator of the Odyssey and
one of the foremost specialists of it and experts on the Odyssey.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Is that fair to say?
Yes, it is. And she wrote her translation. Well, the media is celebrating the fact that she's the first woman to translate the Odyssey into English. She's not the first woman to translate the Odyssey. Others have translated it into Italian and other languages, but she is the first woman who's translated it, and she got a lot of attention recently because even though her translation inspired Christopher Nolan, or Christopher Nolan at least acknowledged it, she then said of the film that it was a combination of grandiosity and superficiality. And so it seemed a little weird that someone who was acknowledged, I believe even credited in film for their translation, comes out against it. Because, you know, when you make a movie, the idea is that everyone involved falls in line and is supportive.
They're good little soldiers, yes. And no matter what you think, you keep it to yourself. And when someone asks you on the red carpet or a reporter asks you, you just say, you say the nicest thing. And
for example, when James St. James's masterpiece, Party Monster, became a movie, you were a model of discretion.
Loved every second of it. It was absolutely a brilliant translation from film or from book to screen. She also said that it was a snooze, which I think is one of the most damning things of all. I mean, to say something is boring, for that is very damning. I guess from maybe a scholarly point of view, that it did not live up to her scholarly expectations because it was done in an American sort of vernacular. Right.
Yeah, they say the word fucker, for example, at one point. Yeah. But here's the point: scholarly texts are not movies, and movies are not scholarly texts.
Yes.
So, and then this whole controversy got sort of ramped up even more because Joyce Carol Oates, remember she?
You don't have to tell me about Joyce. Is my goddess. She is my girl, my ride or die.
Was she rebuked Emily Wilson for a tone of dismissal and haughty superiority?
Yes.
I mean, of course, as with all things on the internet, everything is reduced to its sort of polar opposites, its sort of points of antagonism and rage triggers. And there's a full hour-long discussion with Emily on YouTube. And it's really great. And she's really interesting. And she makes many...
I think the point is this is why we don't allow translators to make movies.
Right, exactly.
They have their own agenda and they aren't thinking of the audience writ large.
You know the phrase "lost in translation," right? So.
Yes.
But then she did, I feel, even though she's taken a lot of flack, I feel she did make some really interesting points, which aren't actually particularly negative at all. She was asked why she thinks people are getting so angry about her translation and coming down on her for having a point of view about it. And she said, and I think this is so telling of the whole drama and in a way telling of the entire Odyssey itself. She says the people who are getting angry haven't spent years studying Homeric Greek. True, people who are getting angry probably haven't even read the book, right? And she then says, it's a whole, they're not angry at me, even though it seems that way. It's a whole lot of made up, and this is a quote, whole lot of made up culture war things. anxiety about gender, race, and whiteness tied to a discourse about greatness. And I mean,
well, I think we have learned that the whole controversy, as Fenton says, the whole controversy of Helen of Troy being black, controversy. How is it? How do you say it?
Controversy.
The controversy of Helen of Troy and of Elliot Page, that when they are really on screen for all of 10 seconds, was just something that MAGA wanted to bitch about and to, for them to throw a shouty cracker pout and not want to, go.
Which is telling, because I think the whole movie is about them and their way of thinking. In fact, that's what's so fascinating about the movie is definitely landed in the sense that everyone who's upset about it is kind of reflecting what the movie is about. Yeah. And even the controversy itself is essentially just an extension of the movie. And she was asked, and this thing I'm just going to read because it's so, I think she's so on the money, not just with her response to this, but just where the fuck we are. She's asked, why do you think people feel such ownership of the Odyssey? She says, I find it quite baffling. It's people who don't care about the poem, yet when it comes to this culture war internet discourse, they perform anger about it and a protectiveness of it. It has to do with an idea of totally stable notion of greatness and masculinity. Anything that challenges that interpretation of what ancient history is threatens their identity in terms of their gender and their racial identities.
Well, that's interesting because if you remember last year, the great MAGA discourse was that all men think of Rome 20 times a day. Yes. Remember that? And
the Roman Empire.
Yeah, the Roman Empire. So that is something that MAGA is obsessed with. And if you throw in an Elliot Page or you throw in an African American, you're ruining their dream of that's being so Roman gladiators.
That is so true. And in fact, Flint DeSol, who is a trans journalist, he wrote a review in his local paper saying that Baba Ram Dass, like a sort of guru in the 60s, 70s.
Yeah. Who was the Beatles, right? Yeah.
Right. And he said this thing, treat everyone you meet like God in drag. And and that, in a way, is the moral of the Odyssey. It's like, just everyone
you don't know who the gods are going to be and what they're disguised as today.
They might be exactly so. So I'm going to talk a bit more about him later on because he opened my eyes to a whole nother aspect of this that I hadn't even considered. So there's my little cliffhanger for that. So, but still do go see the Odyssey. Honestly, I can't recommend it enough.
And that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for listening.
Well, James, finally we come to you at number 9.
Number 9.
Speaking of fun times, a couple of new street drugs have been in the news this past week. Now, I would never do them. I am old. My times of experimenting with drugs are over. I remember when ecstasy first hit, and it was an exciting new thing in the club scene. These are 2 new drugs that are dangerous and deadly. So another reason not to do them. I'm just pointing this out to you. The first one is smoking dried scorpions is all the rage in Pakistan right now.
Say that again.
Smoking scorpions.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Well, first of all, it causes intense hallucinations, distorted visions, and alternate realities. You first dry the scorpion, you crush it into powder, and you mix it with tobacco and hash, and then you smoke it. Health professionals warn that Scorpio venom can causes powerful neurotoxins that cause seizures and breathing problems and death. So do not be smoking scorpions, no matter if you're in Pakistan and someone offers it to you, please say no. Another new drug, and this one is in America and on the dance floors of Europe right now. It's a designer drug called 3-MMC. And it has a softer come down than ecstasy. And it has a less risk of fentanyl contamination. It's described as cocaine without irritation. You can take it and not feel high. It's a functioning tool where you can dance for days on end and then go into work the next day and nobody will know that you're still high and you've been high for 4 days. It has one flaw. It is extremely addictive, and club kids are reporting ruined nasal cavities and nose scabs, but it is on the rise. Reportedly, it's unstoppable, and it's an irresistible mix of pleasure and productivity. So 3-MMC is being called the drug of our time.
Well, it kind of sounds like what I've heard Quaaludes were like. Like you got all fucked up, but you didn't have the hangover.
Yeah, but you can't dance for 4 days and then go into work and nobody knows. When you're on Quaaludes, everyone knows you're on Quaaludes because you're face down in the mud.
Well, yeah, but the next morning you're not. You can get up and go to work instead of like. Do you think?
Yeah, but they're saying that you're still high when you go to work. You just go straight from the dance floor to the office and nobody knows.
This drug sounds amazing because it's like a drug that makes you high and you party, and then it's a drug that lets you work.
Yeah,
and it does say it's extremely addictive, but like,
who cares if you're getting shit done and you're having a good time? Who cares if it's addictive? That's my
but it sounds like they've kind of avoided the downside, right?
Well, the nasal cavity is destroyed.
Oh, right. Well, the important detail.
yeah. But who needs a nasal cavity?
You only need one. It doesn't matter if it's divided or not.
Yeah, no, I haven't had a nasal cavity in 10 years.
Which kind of cavity now, sweetie?
Nasal. It's just a big giant hole behind my face.
You were thinking anal cavity?
I was just wondering. It's like, the connection isn't clear,
All my cavities are rotted at this point. Let's just put it that way.
Well, okay. It's hard to wrap that one up, right? That's All right, moving on. Thank you for that PSA, James. Number 8.
Number 8.
Last night, Ryan Murphy's The Shards premiered. Yeah. James, you saw it. I
gave it a good 45 minutes before I threw my television across the room and shattered it.
Well, right. It's supposedly it's set in Los Angeles in 1981, and the story follows 17-year-old Bret Easton Ellis, who wrote the book, who also wrote, American Psycho and Less Than Zero, Rules of Attraction.
And this has been adapted by Ryan Murphy, and who has been accused of gleifying Bret Easton Ellis.
And it's about his final year at the elite Buckley Prep School. And there's also, a serial killer killing teenagers named the Trowler. What I loved about it is...
Wait, you've seen all the episodes so far, right?
I've seen all of it, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I liked it for the music and for the set design. And
now, it is very much set in 1981. The fashions are 1981. The music purports to be 1981, although the music for the commercial is from 1986. Let's go all the way. Let's go all the way.
That's all the other songs from the first episode are Moving in Stereo, The Cars, Vienna, Ultravox, which I know is 81. This Town, Go-Go's, which is that 81?
It is, totally, yeah.
It's got a good music track.
My favorite, though, is it stars Kaia Gerber, who looks exactly like Cindy Crawford in 1981 with the big hair, and she cannot act to save her life, just like her mom. Nobody in it can really act, but it is. And I find that Homer Gere, yes, Richard Gere's son, I find him just weird looking. I had a hard time looking at him. I also, the other guy who is the gay guy who is supposed to be the Bret Easton Ellis character, what is his name? It's Igby Rigby or something.
Igby
Rigney is his name. I had a hard time with him too. Like I said, I watched the first episode and then most of the second episode before I got distracted. But I just have a problem with Ryan Murphy Productions, and we talked about that ad infinitum, ad nauseum on the show.
Well, I had fun last night was the premiere party. They didn't do a screening, but it was the party, and fortunately, all the cast was there.
Oh, fun!
Yeah. This is them all for the camera. You know, there's Ryan Murphy in there.
Nice.
Shots of Kaia Gerber.
Oh, she just looks like her mother so much, doesn't she? It's crazy.
I know.
Is she really pretty in person, like up close?
Yeah, she looks just like her mom. I said
It's
this to
crazy.
my mom, and I was like, "Whose daughter do you think this is?" And she was like, "Oh my god." I also randomly was taking a picture of Homer, and he was looking at me. Embarrassing.
You know, it's funny because he looks good in pictures, doesn't he? He photographs very well. I'll give it another chance. I'll watch it. I'll watch the next episode. The first 2 episodes premiered last night. Who's that?
Jordan Roth is the best.
Oh, Jordan, sure. Yeah, we know Jordan. He's an old friend of Wow's.
He plays one of the kids, their dad's assistant, who like gets them drugs and everything. But he's amazing. He's kind of flock of seagulls.
Now, the thing about Jordan is that he has one of the best couture collections on the planet, and he is always decked out in $100,000 outfits. Is he wearing $100,000 outfits in this?
Well, he's wearing flock of seagulls outfits in this.
Well, you also went to the roller skating rink too, didn't you?
Yeah, this was all at Moonlight.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because didn't you go to another premiere or something that had it was everything was like 1981?
Yeah, I went last weekend to a pop-up in Sherman Oaks, and they gave you like a credit card, the Shards, and you went through like a fake mall and you bought things. I got this shirt that says "I love the Valley."
I love that.
Tea, and then they had baseball tees. You could get shirts and ice cream, and they had a book.
It sounds like you were all up in the Shards. You have been to 2 parties, and you have seen the entire series.
It's taken over LA. The billboards are everywhere, and they're really cool.
Thank you, Blake, for your review of the Shards. It seems that you've been bought off with invites to the VIP parties and all the merch.
Yes, you are the ideal shill for this movie.
As I was leaving, Lewis Pullman pulled up, who is Bill Pullman's son and also Kaia Gerber's new boyfriend.
It sounds like it is just Nepo baby central on this show.
Doesn't it? Well, and you remember that Homer and Kaia's parents were married at one point. Cindy, Robert, and
they were first-up siblings. How interesting.
All right, well, let's go on. Let's take a break. Drag Race Mexico, Latina Royale premieres Thursday on Wow Presents Plus, hosted by Lolita Banana and Tiger Brava. And Binge Queens is back for Drag Race Mexico Latina as well, with an amazing cast too. So that's on Fridays on Wow Presents Plus and on YouTube.
I have a Shards-related trivia question. What is the Wow connection to the Shards? Besides Jordan Roth, obviously.
Right, okay. Well, we'll have the answer right after the break here on the Wow Report.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
And welcome back to the Wow Report. Tom Campbell is out on vacation this week, so it's just me, Fenton, and James with Blake. And you had a question.
I did. We talked about the Shards earlier, Brett Easton Ellis and Ryan Murphy's new show on FX. What is the Wow connection to the Shards?
I'm trying to think of the producers. I'm like Brad
Simpson, right?
Brad Simpson, yeah.
It is Leland. Leland and Troy Sivan do the original music for this show, and Leland does the original music for our show, RuPaul's Drag Race.
Oh, ding dong. That's fantastic. Good to hear. Good for you, Leland.
All right, number 7.
Number 7.
While looking into the Emily Wilson translation drama around the Odyssey, I came across this review of the Odyssey, which was so good. I was like, who is Flint DeSol? And I looked him up on Instagram, and he posted that the most amazing thing about one character in the Odyssey who has gotten all of Maga's knickers in a complete twist. I'm talking, of course, about Elliot Page,
Sure.
who plays Sinon, right? Now, James, you probably know this, but Sinon is actually not in the Odyssey. As you know, the Odyssey kind of picks up at the end of the Trojan War. You know, Ulysses is blah, blah, blah. Christopher Nolan takes Sinon from the Aeneid, which was written by the Roman poet Virgil. And in that story, Sinon is a terrible person. He's a liar. He's a deserter. In fact, he's such a kind of classical character whose name Sinon stands for lying that Sinonical was invented in the 16th century to mean cunning or betrayal or deceit, and has just come to be known as this sort of archetypal lie. He even shows up in Dante's Inferno. Christopher Nolan takes this character, and this character basically kicks off the movie. He is portrayed as a deserter who essentially lies to the Trojans and says, yes, the Greeks have all gone home, they've gone away, and look at this Trojan horse, this thing. And of course, the Trojans immediately off with his head. They kind of impale him to the Trojan horse, and then they drag the Trojan horse into the city, etc., etc., etc. But the point is that Sinon, who isn't in the original Odyssey, this reviewer explains that really his ghost haunts the entire movie, because early on, when Ulysses is about to go off to war, they're drawing lots to decide who's going to be amongst his men to go with him. And the Sinon draws a lot that allows him to stay at home. But Antinous, who's a little sleazebag, draws a lot sending him to war and tries to get Sinon's stay-at-home pass. Ulysses sees all this and weirdly intervenes but doesn't stop the swap. So Sinon drew this lot, exempting him from the war. The evil villain who's trying to grab the hand of Ulysses' wife tries to swap it so he can stay at home, so he can go to war. And in the end, Sinon goes to war and Antinous stays at home. And it's then that Ulysses basically betrays Sinon, doesn't tell him what the plan is, doesn't tell him what's going on, just basically leaves this poor little whatnot on the beach.
I had thought that Sinon was only in it for 10 minutes, and that was
He is only in it for like less
You're
than 5
making
minutes.
this sound like this is a 4-hour story of Sinon.
Well, the reason I mean, I could probably tell it more succinctly, but essentially, Sinon is not in the original Odyssey. Christopher Nolan imported him from a completely different text, same time, same period, changed the character. So Sinon of literary fame is known as a liar. But in this version, Sinon is an innocent kid who goes to war and is sacrificed by Ulysses deliberately so that the plan can go ahead and they won't get rumbled about the Trojan horse. And it is when he goes to Hades that he meets Sinon, and Sinon complains about this and says, you didn't tell me what was going on. And Ulysses is like, I'm sorry, but I couldn't. Ulysses is haunted by this, And I will get to the point sooner rather than later, which is that at the end, Ulysses returns home, and Antinous, that awful evil snake, the guy who tried to get out of going to the war, has been putting the moves on Ulysses' wife. And in the final scene, Ulysses has kept all this time the lot that young Sinon drew that condemned him to going to war, and he shoves it down Antinous' throat and says, I give you back your shame.
Now, hold on a second, because this is something we've talked about before on this show, where you say that Ulysses is racked with guilt over what he did.
I know you're going to say the Greeks didn't feel guilt.
The Greeks didn't feel guilt. So this is another case of Christopher Nolan shoehorning in something that probably wasn't in the Odyssey.
There is no sacred text, James. It's like people like claiming the Bible says this or says that. It's all open to interpretation, right? Anyway, this reviewer, who I think is amazing, wrote this very powerful piece because he says, in casting Elliot Page, that was no accident. It was a very deliberate choice to show the plight of trans people and how they're often the first people thrown under the bus or betrayed. And I think it's brilliant because I do think this entire film is an anti-MAGA masterpiece.
Yeah.
And there you have it. I rest my case.
But don't you think that Eliott might balk at that translation, that Eliott is just passing as a man and doesn't want to drag the whole trans thing into the narrative?
That's an interesting, I mean, perhaps, possibly so, but I do think there's always a, how should you say, like kind of shadow casting in the sense that, you know, Matt Damon plays Ulysses because you're sort of referencing the entire shadow story of Matt Damon and all the other roles he's played, or I don't know, Macaulay Culkin playing
I guess you cannot really separate the actor from the role many times.
Right. And you're right, James. Obviously, we are putting 20th century ideas onto ancient ones, but you know, what else are you going to do? I mean,
what else you got to do?
But if you're going to use old IP, you've got to refresh it, right? Look, I feel I've gone on far too long with this segment, so let's go on to the next thing, which is James, number 6.
Number 6.
A disturbing thing happened on TikTok Live this week. I don't know if you were paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
Celebrity blogger Perez Hilton appeared to self-harm. He was naked, covered in what was possibly blood. We still don't know. Stabbing himself with a knife as viewers watched in horror. We tiptoe carefully around reporting celebrity mental health issues, of course, and we don't really know the cause of this yet. He had some medical issues. I don't know if you remember earlier this year where he was hospitalized for sepsis, and afterwards he found God and became born again. And his social media sort of reflected that. So are these things connected? He was screaming some strange things as it was happening. The house was surrounded by a SWAT team who extricated him. He is now in the hospital and apparently speaking. His family has asked for privacy during this period, which Blake and I were discussing earlier. He never afforded to Brittany during her mental health crisis, but we are in a different time, and hopefully we can all, no matter how you feel about Perez, his poor children, you don't want this to happen to anybody, and you don't want it to happen to any family. So I hope that the family is fine. I hope that he recovers, and I hope that we sort of learn what happened, because, you know, TikTok is getting a lot of flack for keeping it up for as long as they did. And they said that it was a glitch in their programming or something that did not allow them to take it down as it was happening. But people are saying to sue the hell out of TikTok for the trauma they caused on millions of people who were watching, who did not get trigger warnings as everybody needs these days. If you're going to see violence, you need to be warned. And TikTok did not take care of their viewers, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
And yet, sort of zooming out, do you think there's something potentially destructive, like the whole influencer culture? Does it take a toll on people? And
well, I would imagine with Perez in particular that the hate that he has received for the way he treated celebrities during 2004 to 2014 or whenever that was, Christina Aguilera, Paris Hilton, Miley Cyrus when he published underage photos of her naked. He gets a lot of hate, and I imagine that there's some sort of psychic toll to when you have millions of people calling you names, that you do sort of snap at some point. And I'm just speculating, but I do think that in his case in particular, there's a lot of karma that he has accumulated. So
tragic to see anybody unraveling, right?
Yeah.
I think. And I guess everybody does have struggles. Number 5, Blake.
Number 5.
Well, I saw the worst movie of all time.
I have been hearing this nonstop too, that everybody who sees it walks out.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So on Monday, my roommate and I, we have the AMC movie pass, and sometimes when they have scary movies, they'll do the Scream Unseen as opposed to Screen Unseen. And it's where you buy a ticket and you don't know what you're seeing, and you go in and you sit down, and then you see a movie that's coming out that Friday. Oh. This Monday, we saw Eli Roth's Ice Cream Man, and it is getting horrible reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. It is about an ice cream man who comes to a town and gives kids ice cream, but when the kids eat the ice cream, they turn into ravenous killers and kill all the adults, and it's very gory. And
but that's not. Well, first of all, that sounds like sort of a brilliant, like on page. Yes! It sounds sort of fabulous, but people.
But it's already been done. It was done better by Weapons last year.
Okay.
And the acting in it is horrible, including Eli Roth. There's a scene of him and his kids and his wife eating at the table, and the writing is just stupid. He makes a joke about underage girls in bikinis that are his daughter's age that he wants to go see at a water park that just doesn't fly in 2026. And it's just bad. I got up and walked out of it in the middle.
You walked out. Did you see other people? What was the audience's reaction? Were they groaning and
I mean, there were laughs, but it was more like like, I can't believe that really just happened on the big screen. And I was, like, it was horrible.
I have heard some terrible things about it, boy.
I loved Hostel. I liked The Green Inferno. It's not that I don't like him. This was just like, it was slop.
Well, what I've heard is that it was probably 90% AI slop is what I've been hearing. That there's a lot of AI.
Well, you could tell.
People are angry about that.
Horrible.
Yeah.
So don't go see the Ice Cream Man. Save your money.
Okay. Well, on that jolly note, let's take a break. Drag Race Down Under versus the World, streaming now on Wow Presents Plus, hosted by Michelle Visage. And you can also watch Hey Boo, the official Drag Race Down Under versus the World after show, now streaming on Wow Presents Plus. You can join Raven and Lazy Susan as they surprise the cast of Drag Race Down Under versus the World with questions and tea-spilling games. New episodes on Mondays.
Fabulous.
Well, I have a trivia question, and I know it's easy, but it is a part of history that we must talk about.
Okay.
On this day in 1987, August 7th, Warner Brothers released a critically panned screwball comedy starring Madonna.
Oh!
Classic.
It is one of the best movies of all time. I will not have anything bad said about it. But when you come back, we will tell what it is.
All right, stay tuned. We'll be right back after the break here on the Wow Report.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. Fenton here with James and Blake. Yeah.
And I asked, on this day in 1987, Warner Brothers released a critically panned screwball comedy starring Madonna that went on to become a major camp classic. What is it?
Who's that girl? And I was there opening day. I was standing in line. I loved it. I went back the next day and the next day.
No, you lie.
No, I loved it. Where she had the popcorn hair and she's wearing the goatee and she's running down the street and she's got the bringing up baby Katharine Hepburn with the lie or the puma. It's
and
fantastic.
She has an annoying accent.
When she talks like this and she's trying to do a Judy Holiday accent and it doesn't. It sort of like comes off as Cyndi Lauper light. Remember the most fabulous part about it is the opening credits where it's got the little cartoon Madonna prancing across the screen. That is so funny. I'll live for it.
Okay, all right.
Did you not like it?
No, not really. Who's that girl? Who cares? Number 4.
Number 4.
Yeah, you hit a certain age, you have to get colonoscopy. And I think in a way you gave a little PSA earlier about 2 new drugs that you should avoid. And my PSA here is that if you've hit that age, you should definitely go get a colonoscopy. Do not believe what people say about how awful they are, because yeah, the preparation can be a bit of a drag.
Well, I remember last week when you couldn't drink or eat anything? How do you go 24 hours without drinking anything? That to me is what I cannot fathom.
You are allowed to drink, not alcohol. You shouldn't drink alcohol within 24 hours of the procedure, and within 4 hours of the procedure, you should not drink anything at all. They just want to see what's going on under the hood, so they don't want a lot of stuff in the way. They don't want you to.
Well, makes sense, sure.
Right. So,
but so you did both an endoscopy and a colonoscopy.
Well, that was it. Yes, it's a 2-for-1. 2-for-1. I got like sort of like spit roast sort of scenario, I suppose. But I can't tell you anything about that because I wasn't there mentally. At least I was completely out.
Now I do know that you have in the past sang glorious praises of propofol, where it's just your favorite thing on the planet.
Well, I mean, honestly, you get the best sleep. You really do. And then you wake up in a really good.
Can we just have colonoscopies and when we have insomnia? Can I just go in, please?
Well, you know, some people like Michael Jackson didn't do the colonoscopy, but they just got the propofol. And you wake up and you're in such a good mood. You know, I mean, it lasted all the weekend.
Is your throat sore?
It wasn't actually, James.
Really?
No.
That's interesting.
And 2 other details. One was that you know, you go in and you got to take off all your clothes and put on the hospital gown, you know, with the open at the back, and that's all a bit, you know, it's cold in a sort of waiting room area, and you have to lie on a bed. But what they do, and it's so nice, and I'd forgotten about this, is they give you a warm blanket. Like the blanket's been preheated, and you can just lie under the blanket, and it is really the best feeling. It's a lovely feeling. And the other thing I forgot about it is that as you come around, you know, they're eager to wake you up and get you out of there. But as you come out, the doctor pops in, and he's got a sort of sheaf of papers, and he's like, "Oh, everything looks good," and he gives you pictures of your colon.
Do you have them for us right now?
I do. I'm not going to. How dare you? I'm not going to.
Suddenly, after all, he's found some shame.
I did think to ask the doctor though to sign them, because it's the whole thing so bizarre. He was handing me a sheet of my selfies of like, would you sign these?
Now, when you wake up, do you immediately leave, or do you get to rest? What do you? How long?
You're given, you know, they're like, wake up, you're good to go. Here are your pictures, and you can get dressed, and they sort of hurry you along. The other thing is that, of course, they somewhat inflate you a bit like a balloon, so that they can have a good look around. You do have to
fart.
Thank you. Yes, you need to fart. So, and you do.
Do they give you a fart? Is there a farting room?
Well, you're in a room with other people who are doing the same thing. I tell you, it's like a conveyor belt. They're like in.
Wait a minute. There's a room full of people just farting?
Well, you're not looking. There are discretionary curtains around the back. So it's just a chorus of flatulence.
Well, now that's the turn off right there.
Well, I hope I haven't.
Sounds fun until we did.
To our listener or listeners, I hope I haven't given you a negative idea, because you know it is a very you know might sound icky, but this procedure could save your life. So, yes. Blake, have you done one?
No, but it's coming up.
It's coming up.
I had a physical this week, and they were like, when you turn 45 is when you start doing colonoscopies.
Yeah, no, don't delay it. It's actually, you know, there are pluses like the warm blanket and the propofol and the pictures. I mean, you know.
Well, I've got an MRI scheduled for tomorrow, so I'll let you know.
Okay, good luck with that. All right, that's enough of that. Number 3, James.
Number 3.
my old apartment building in New York City on 14th Street in Hudson in the meatpacking district has been sold for $100 million, which is wild because it was a shithole when I lived there. It's a fabulous shithole. It's a dilapidated bunch of lofts. It's where all the club people lived in the 80s.
What's the address?
It's 675 Hudson at 14th Street. My apartment was the loft that Glenn Close lived in, her character in Fatal Attraction. I don't know if you remember. It was just a giant white loft in this creepy building. Yeah, the building itself is triangular. It's called the Little Flatiron, and it's cool if your bedroom doesn't get smaller and smaller and smaller so that no furniture fits into it until it finally disappears into it. And it has an interesting history as well because the Hellfire Club was in the basement on one side, the S&M Club, Hellfire, and on the other side, under my window, was an after-hours club called Jay's, which was a gay masturbation after-hours club where everyone went to self-pleasure themselves during the AIDS crisis when they had signs everywhere saying, "Lips above the hips, everyone! Lips above the hips," yes?
Why was your room shrinking?
Because it goes into a triangle. It's a triangle building, and my bedroom was the triangle, the tip of the triangle.
I thought you were like on drugs and like you thought your room.
Yes, I'd been smoking scorpions, and
I wouldn't be surprised about what you did in the 80s.
But anyway, I'm burying the lead here because it was sold for $100 million. It's being transformed into Annabel's, the club, the famous social club in London that has been around for 50 years, 60 years, 70 years. And it is where all the royalty and movie stars and, billionaires hang out. Do we really want an Annabelle's in New York when it seems like people are hating on the Epstein class and Soho House seems to be falling apart and nobody goes. So, I mean, have you been to Annabelle's, Fenton?
I have, but not this century, to be honest. It was so long ago when I was much younger. And I just can't get over those $100 million.
$100 million for, like, the meatpacking is not the old meatpacking of yore, in which there were, sides of beef outside your apartment as you walked out and that would come sliding in, hit you. Yeah,
it's a high end. Now it's a high end area, obviously, but still, doesn't $100 million? It doesn't seems a lot for that building.
It does.
And then, of course, they got to refurbish and do it all up.
I imagine they're probably going to have to. It's going to be sort of a teardown, except for the exterior.
Right.
Wow. It's just and I lived with 2 roommates, 4 cats, and about 20 mice and rats that were running over me in the middle of the night. So
I was never invited to your place then. So
I think I would have been mortified to have you there. Although I did have some pretty good times.
Okay, moving
on. Especially because I just have to say that if in exchange for not complaining about the music, we were given free access to Jay's anytime we wanted.
Oh,
so I would drag everybody home from the club, and then we would all go down and party at Jay's.
Jay's Jack Off Club.
Jay is for jack off. Yes.
Mind boggles. Yes. Number 2.
Number 2.
Well, I've got some news of the weird.
Okay, good. As if we haven't had enough.
This one, in his quest to retrieve a bottle of Mountain Dew, a Kansas City, Missouri man fell into a portable restroom toilet tank and was stuck there for 8 hours with the lid closed.
Wait, he fell into a porta potty tank?
Yep, he fell into a porta potty tank for 8 hours.
Because he was in there and he dropped the Mountain Dew and he was trying to retrieve it and fell. Oh my God. Oh, what a nightmare that is.
The structures had been set up for a World Cup watch party when he encountered the trapped occupant. Yeah.
Oh, you are just in shit. It's piss and shit up to your neck, probably.
Well, another
talk about sepsis. Talk about getting,
Yeah, that can't be good.
Another man, this is another story. In Wilmington, Illinois, a man was rescued after being stuck in a gas station sign for several
I saw
hours.
that. I did see that. He had used a cherry picker to get up to it, and then the cherry picker malfunctioned or something, and he was stuck at like 40 feet in the air or 60 feet or something like that, right?
Yeah, he was in good spirits whenever he came down, and he refused medical service, so all was well with the world.
Okay.
Is he changing a light bulb or something?
I think
Yeah,
so, yeah.
he was fixing something in the sign. It was like 130 feet up or something.
Oh, jeez.
Well,
Okay.
there was another guy. This was in Montana. He was hiking at Granite Mountain. David Safaldi, he's 32 and he's a nurse. He tripped over a rock and impaled himself with one of his hiking poles.
Oh, no.
Oh.
And he managed to hike 10 miles back with the pole through his side.
10 miles with a pole in your side? That's horrible.
Yeah, he had assessed his wounds because he's a nurse and determined that because there was no blood and he could take breaths that he was good enough to walk. But he had like a friend walk in front of him to warn other hikers, especially those with children, of the gnarly sight.
Oh my goodness.
That's brave. That's like, wow. 10 miles?
Yeah, it took like 6.5 hours, and his friends were joking and calling him shish kebab.
Oh, okay. Oh my God. Is that it? I can't take any more.
Oh, I've got several more.
Okay, well, I tell you what, let's take a break. Stop That Train is available to rent or own on digital. Get ready to stream the whole Stormaganza on demand on Prime Video, Apple TV, and wherever you get your streaming shows. There you go. All right, when we come back, we're going to reveal the number one thing this week that made us go, wow, here on the Wow Report on Radio Andy.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
And welcome back, James. Are you ready
For number one?
to reveal? Yeah, it's you, baby.
Number one.
Talking a little bit more about the Odyssey. There's been a great discourse online about, how Muppets, the
Muppets?
the Muppet Christmas Carol is one of the best adaptations of A Christmas Carol ever made. I don't know if you've ever seen it. Have you ever seen it, Blake? Have you ever seen the Muppet Christmas Carol?
Yeah.
It's fantastic, right?
Yeah.
So many people were saying they need to do a Muppet version of the Odyssey, and they were trying to cast it. And they were saying, of course, Kermit has to be, Odysseus, and Miss Piggy has to be Helen of Troy, because she would not let anyone else be more beautiful than her. Other people are saying that maybe you can gender switch it and have Miss Piggy be Odysseus, and Kermit is the long-suffering wife who's waiting for Miss Piggy to arrive back home. I want to manifest this and make a Muppets Odyssey.
Well, I think number one should be Abdul El Sayed, who beat that woman in an APAC.
In Michigan, yes, where he has made talk about MAGA going crazy. The idea that a Muslim man, another Muslim, first we had Zoran Mamdani, who's going to destroy the planet, and now we have someone who could possibly run for president, and they put, what is it, like 60 million as opposed to 8 million?
Yeah, he had like 8 million, and his opponent had $60 million, and
he still wins. And he's very hunky, and he's got a very progressive agenda, and he seems like I'm very excited about him. I think he's sort of a transformational politician. And, of course, the Republicans and Trump saying he's a shithead. And Trump said that he's a communist. He's a Muslim. He's going to, blow up the planet. And now he's also a communist, and he's also a socialist. And he's also make up your mind. What is he? What is the boogeyman that you have created out of this man? Also in the news, they say today that Mitch McConnell is awake and has been moved.
Oh, really?
Home, that he has left the rehab center. And also Max Miller, of course, is in the news. He is the guy who had beat his daughter. And Trump is like, well, I feel sorry for him. You know, I don't know if you've been following that story. And also Janine Pirro, it seems maybe has been fired after the debacle of the reflecting pool. So, because we saw her leaving with a big box of wine, what looked like a big box of wine. She had a suitcase in a box that was probably full of files. She was leaving the White House. And so maybe she's been fired. We don't know yet. So there's a lot going on. There is a lot going on. And Mamdani was booed in Staten Island, but Staten Island is a stronghold of MAGA, so it sort of makes sense. Because I love Mamdani. I think everyone I've spoken to in New York is just saying that it's transformed. It's just absolutely a wonderland now, and that he is probably on a generational run where they want him to be in power for the next 20 years because he is just doing so much good. The murder rate is down. He's making the buses free. He's given free childcare to people. He's just doing everything he said he would do. And what politician does what he says he's going to do? This is crazy. So God bless.
And it seems to be working. The city seems to be functioning. Yeah. Well, oh my gosh. That's all we got time for this week. What a ride. Same time, same place next week.
Go out and do something that makes the world go.
Wow.